Very early in the morning, the chief priests, the elders, the teachers, the law, the whole Sanhedrin reached a decision. They bound Jesus. They led him away. They handed him over to Pilate. Are you the king of the Jews? Pilate asked him. Yes, it is as you say, Jesus replied. Now the chief priests had accused him of many things. So again Pilate asked him, aren't you going to answer? You see how many things they accuse you of? But Jesus still made no reply. And Pilate was amazed. Now it was the custom at the feast to release a prisoner whom the people requested. A man named Barabbas was in prison with the insurrectionists who had committed murder in the uprising. So the people came and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. Do you want me to release you, the king of the Jews? Pilate asked them, knowing it was out of envy that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priests had stirred up the crowd to ask Pilate to release Barabbas instead. What do you want me to do with the one you call the king of the Jews? Pilate asked them. Crucify him, they shouted. Why? What crime has he committed? Asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, crucify him! Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus into the palace, that is the praetorium. They called together a whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe around him. They wove a crown of thorns and set it on him. And they began to call out to him, Hail, King of the Jews! Again and again they struck him on the head with the staff and spit on him. Falling on their knees, they worshipped him. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe, put his own clothes on him, and led him out to crucify him. A certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country. And they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, that is the place of the skull. Then they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him. Dividing up his clothes, they cast lots to see what each would get. It was the third hour when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, the King of the Jews. They crucified two robbers with him, one on his right and one on his left. And those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads, saying, So you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down now from the cross, save yourself. In the same way, the teachers of the law and the elders also mocked him amongst themselves. He saved others, but he cannot save himself. Let this Christ, this King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we might see and believe. Those crucified with him also heaped insults on him. At the 6th hour, darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, My God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing near heard this, they said, Listen, he is calling Elijah. One man ran, filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a stick and offered it to Jesus to drink. Leave him alone now. Let us see if Elijah comes to take him down, he said. And with a louder cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And the centurion, when he heard his cry and saw he died, he said, Surely This man was the Son of God. Some women were watching from a distance. Among them was Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James the Younger, and of Salome. In Galilee, these women followed him. They took care of his needs. Many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem were also there. It was preparation day. That is the day before the Sabbath. So as evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent member of the council who was himself waiting for the kingdom of God, he went boldly to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised to hear that Jesus was already dead. Summoning the centurion, he asked if Jesus had already died. When he learned from the centurion that it was so, he gave the body to Joseph. So Joseph bought linen cloth. He took down the body. He wrapped it in the linen cloth and placed it in a tomb cut out of rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of Joseph, saw where he was laid.